sleep hacks from a coach perspective. There's an overwhelming amount of information if you just type into YouTube how to improve your sleep or best routines for athletes in terms of sleep hacks. I'm going to just share with you in a short video my views, what I've tried and tested. I'm a big fan of sleep, and then I try and advocate a lot of my athletes to get at least some of these habits going to improve their whole life. But of course, most importantly, I just want to get the most out of training. Now, I've got 2 kids. Fortunately now, the youngest one is 4.5, moving on 5. So we don't have those disrupted nights. So these sort of perfect routines don't work when you have a very young child, but you can try and mitigate some of those. All right, so what have I done? I've personally read 3 decent books over the last 6-7 years, and I'm going to share with you. I'm not going to do a review of the books, but I'm going to share the titles in. So this Nick Littlehale's one, I love this. Really easy read. Years ago, Elite Sports Sleep Coach, that hit the mainstream long before COVID, 2019 maybe, and just an easy myth buster to get your head around some basics. And if you just read one, that'll just blow your mind. It's pretty cheap right now. The second one I read was slightly deeper. Matthew Walker, you might have heard of him, a little bit more, but it goes into kind of why we sleep and breaks down a little bit more science around it. So if you're interested in a bit more sciencey book, it was brilliant. It was an international bestseller, mind-blowing. And then this was a few years ago, Dr. Eric Prather, actually Matthew Walker forward on this. It's a really easy read about a 7-day sleep prescription to try and get your head around some things you need to improve. Okay, so I'm not a sleep expert, I'm a coach, but what's my routine? I love sleep, and my partner will advocate to this that I probably have in the past obsessed a little bit about getting X amount of time in bed and so forth. So I've chilled out a little bit about it, but my routine is I have a gene that's sensitive to caffeine. I know that from trial and error, but then actually it was tested. So when you have a double espresso or a little bit of caffeine and you're wired and sensitive straight away, this is probably something you should do, and you've heard this before. I generally don't have it in the afternoons. Probably 2 o'clock's the cutoff, but I try and aim for, I just glance at the clock. If it's one something, why am I needing caffeine? I'll rather go have a 20-minute nap. I'm lucky I can do that. So my routine's generally no caffeine. Chocolate I found in the past, of course, there's a bit of caffeine, but the sugar, I'm quite sugar sensitive. So in the evening, you want a little bit of, chocolate in the evening will keep you up. If I do have something, a small bit of 85%, because there's more cocoa-based stuff than sugar. So there's a nice little hack. I like wine. But again, if I have a little bit, I'll try to limit the wine in the evening if I'm having this on Friday night or Saturday. I don't really care what night of the week it is. But I find immediately you just feel a bit off going to sleep, and you definitely have a disrupted sleep. So that's fairly obvious. I just try to limit my amount of wine. I have magnesium before bed, about an hour before bed, citrate. I believe that's slightly better for pre-sleep. There's glycinate I have during the day. So I don't use Pillar Performance, that kind of fancy combination. It's a great brand. I just separate. I buy it from a very good source, and I have magnesium in the morning, and if I remember, and then definitely magnesium at night. And then I try to stop drinking water actually from early evening. Now I'm only 46, but I don't really want to get up in the night, and certainly if I have water with dinner, I'm up at night. So I generally basically feel a bit thirsty towards the evening, but of course in the day I'm drinking. So nice add-ons to what are some nice add-ons? Those are fairly normal sleep routines, what I've just told you about, that you're probably doing already. You will read in these books about blue light, winding down, TV, phones in bed. I'm not going to go through those. You probably know all those already if you've stumbled upon this video. A nice add-on though through research and actually personal experience is having a sauna quite close to bed, like maybe an hour. I don't have one at home, but 10 minutes up the road I do. So if I have a late one in the gym, of course, come back and then your body temperature is super high, and then from the core, and then your body will try and drop that temperature. It's the same sort of concept of having kind of a hot bath with some Epsom salts, and then your body then gets quite hot, and to drop the temperature down, gets you into a sort of a easier way to fall asleep. Your latency is quite low. Melatonin, I'm in the UK, so it's not over the counter, but I have some from the US. Kind of 1 hour before bed. You don't want to rely on that. It's not a sleeping aid, but your body produces it. But if you want a really nice deep sleep, every now and then I have a little bit of melatonin, certainly if there's jet lag, and I just want to really get a deep, solid sleep, and my HRV is always nice and high after that. So there must be a link, but it's certainly a nice add-on. So that's my routine. So there's sleep experts out there, and I'm not claiming to be anywhere near one. I just like to know a little bit about it, and I enjoy reading up about it and listening to people that know a lot more. So there's common threads that cross over. I've realized through reading these books, they all on the same sort of page, unless you have a real disorder, sleep apnea, you've got a partner that's constantly snoring. These are things you need to really address, because the sleep disrupts everything: human growth hormone, recovery, your moods, your anxiety. What happens though is we sometimes stress out as athletes that we're not getting 9 hours in bed or 8.5 hours, or you haven't got enough deep sleep. So basically just take a step back and really take this from a bit of advice from me, and also people that have been through this, is if you're lying down for at least 7 to 9 hours horizontal, you're not going to get that amount of sleep, but your sleep time, hopefully you want is close to 90% of that time in bed. 7.5 hours asleep, 8 hours lying in bed. You are rested. If you're training really hard, which a lot of us will do building up to an Ironman, you probably need a little bit of extra sleep if you can get that. It means going to bed earlier, but don't try and lie in. That's what ruins your circadian rhythms and makes you feel worse. You want to lie in, just go to bed earlier. If you can't fall asleep, then do some of the sleep hacks with starting your day earlier, limiting the caffeine, and I'll summarize a little bit more around some sugar and dinner choices in a second. Okay, wearables. I've just come to my 3-year anniversary with Aura, and before that 2 years with Whoop. Certainly learned a lot about tracking your sleep. I don't really worry too much about that. I know if I've slept pretty well, but what I do use it for is a really accurate age. So I'll touch a bit more around that and resting heart rate. So in summary, thanks for listening this far. Quality versus quantity. Back to that sort of 7 to 9 hours, but trying to make sure you're actually getting, not tossing and turning for 10 hours and getting 6.5 hours of sleep. You're wasting your time. Read these guys, they'll tell you exactly the same. Your HRV from a reliable source. So a few different sources. You can use your updated Garmin watch. I don't like sleeping on the watch. Aura and Whoop, pretty good. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. So these are just through personal 5 years of using wearables. And the other app on your phone that you can use, which costs probably about $10 now, HRV4, the number 4 training. Marco Altini, he's done extensive research along with Dr. Dan Plews, who's done his PhD, who I was mentored by for a while and did quite a bit of studying under him. A great app and proven very well. So you want to check that in the morning. The only thing is it's compliance, and most of us aren't going to do a minute or two with your smartphone in the morning by using the light, the camera from it to check your HRV. If you see it trending up over a period of maybe a month, 2 months, you know that you're getting good quality sleep, you're adjusting to you're adapting to the training. If you see it trending down, we need to adjust things. Some of it could be sugar, too close to the evening, or just generally a high sugar diet will affect your HRV, guaranteed. Caffeine, and of course alcohol, you know that already. So if you are doing high intensity training, your HRV generally takes a knock. Heart rate variability, that is, the gaps between your heart rate beats. You want nice long gaps. If you're doing consistent, too much high intensity training, your body won't be recovering. It's age related, sex related, and diet as well. So you want to try and decrease that, increase your volume of zone 2 training. Have a look at my zone 2 video I did on the bike, but you can apply that for swimming, biking, whatever you want. And I'd also try finally address some of your carb intake late in the evening. If you're finding going to sleep quite hard and also your HRV trending down, maybe switch to 7 to 10 days of a lower carb in the evening, so less starchy foods, just vegetables, proteins, fats. You'll find you have an immediate effect on your HRV and your blood glucose, which is completely interlinked to your sleep. So reach out if you need more help around this. I'll share what I know and hope that helps. Just some quick, easy hacks. There's some more things around travel, but I won't cover that today. Happy training, happy sleeping. I love it. It's what we spend a third of our life or a third of our day doing. So get a good mattress, get a good topper. You want a cool room, as cool as possible, because your partner, if you have a partner in bed, they run quite cold. I run quite hot, for example. I want a window open, dark room, eye mask if you have to. Those are all kind of classic examples, but learn from these guys and they'll tell you more.